We had some technical difficulties, but we seem to have figured it out. So we're back, and we'll kind of recap for anyone who missed the beginning before.
Right. Yeah. If Janine was a blonde, I would make a blonde joke right now, but she's not. So anyways, we're back to, I'm just going over the FARA filings real quick. So for those who don't know, FARA is the Foreign Agents Registration Act. If you are going to disseminate a message from a foreign country to the American people, you have to register with FARA, right? So foreign countries are not allowed to speak directly to Americans. They have to get a middleman, right? And these are what we call lobbyists, right? And they are paid exorbitant amounts of money to relay messages that foreign countries want us to hear. So when you go and look at a FARA filing, and I've written a long post on this, a long thread on this, but most FARA filings are actually usually about tourism, like the Bahamas, very common one. Bahamas are always at the top of the list because they're always advertising for Americans to come to the Bahamas, right? And they have to pay for those advertisements that you see on television. They have to run them through a lobbyist that distributes them to the American people. And so that's a very common thing. But another type of messaging, obviously, would be political messaging. And so Israel has been losing tremendous amounts of support with the American people, but also with their very key demographic, which is, of course, evangelical Christians, especially evangelical Christians under the age of 30. And so they have a new plan that they have just rolled out. And of course, because they are going to use an American company to disseminate this information. And it's, people will say, well, what about APAC? That's totally separate. That's political lobbying, very, very different. We can go over that another day. But this is disseminating a message straight from the Israeli government. And so they have hired an American firm, and this American firm is called Show Faith by Works. And it's a newly formed company. This is very typical of how they do these things. And so what happens is that they were in a rush to get this filing in. And we learned today, somebody connected the dots for me on this earlier today, but they didn't have their contract. Show Faith by Works did not have their contract fully finalized, I guess, with the Israeli government. And so they had to submit their pitch to them, to the FARA filings. And that's why we were treated to this incredible slideshow of what Show Faith by Works pitched to the Israeli government as what we think, this is what we want to do to get your messaging out. And so I went through it. It's an 86-page filing. And I went through it yesterday and picked out the most pertinent things to me. And so let's just go through it really quickly. So Show Faith by Works, they want to they want to combat low American evangelical Christian approval of the nation of Israel. For me, I would just say, hey, stop bombing babies. Seems like probably the easiest way to win folks back. But, nobody wants to do things the simple way. So, but they want to use.
Well, also the evangelicals are the first ones who want the Israelis to have the entire biblical land.
Correct.
So they want
correct.
the Palestinians driven out.
Well, let's not say the evangelicals per se. There's a very niche. It's these hardcore Christian Zionists, but
yes, that's the term I should use. Yeah.
It's a very, actually, even amongst them, it is like this very niche ideology that is rooted in end times, apocalyptic, revelation. Jesus is going to come back, so we have to bring all the Jews to Israel, and they go very by the book with this stuff. And it's actually not by the book; it's by their understanding of the book. But I don't want to get into that right now. Anyways, so there is a certain sect of them, but I think most evangelicals just kind of want peace, and they are definitely extremely uncomfortable with the images that they've been seeing coming out of Gaza, which is why the support is dropping so rapidly, right?
Yeah.
And so they say here they want to use biblical arguments to highlight the importance of Israel and the Jewish people to Christians, which is very interesting. Educate Christians on the historical importance of Israel and its significance in the region. Increase awareness of Palestinian ties to Hamas and support for terrorism within evangelical populations, as if evangelicals have not been soaking in that propaganda
Yeah,
literally our entire
exactly.
lives. Okay.
Exactly.
And then counter new and evolving pro-Palestinian messaging as the global narrative shifts. So those are kind of like their goals. And then we come down here, and this was the thing that really like stuck out to me was the digital support. So they said they want to enact the largest geofencing and Christian targeting campaign in history. They want to geofence and digitally target Christians who attend any U.S. mega church in our target markets and beyond, and then use the digital tools to identify and show pro-Israel, anti-Palestinian messaging to U.S. Christians and Catholics in English and Spanish. They're going to use digital targeting to redirect Christians to websites where pro-Israel media can be found and forwarded, and the website will compile pro-Israel pastoral resources, social media posts, and earned and bought media. So they're going to stalk Christians at their churches. They gave a list of 300 churches in the states of California, California, Arizona, Colorado, and I'm pretty sure it's New Mexico. It's all Southwest states. 303 churches, the bulk of them in California. And this was the one that was really big. Then when they get a target area in mind, they are actually going to build these trailers where they're going to have 10/7 experience. So they're going to get a Hollywood set designer to come out, and they are going to custom build a trailer, and they're going to set up virtual reality like experience. Everybody's going to put the VR headset on, and then you're going to be able to experience what it was like to be at the Nova Festival on 10/7. Now, of course, you're not actually going to get to experience what it was like to get gunned down by an Israeli Apache helicopter, which we know is what killed at least 140 of the people at Nova. But I digress.
Or to rot in an Israeli jail, like so many Palestinians have for decades without any charges or reason.
Right. No,
or any of the other. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're not.
That's like psychotic, like weird brainwashing shit out of a dystopian novel.
It is. It's extremely dystopian. Yeah, and especially I don't like it because obviously this is definitely geared towards young kids, and it's so rich considering that we are constantly accused of, Qatar is like supposedly flooding Americans with their propaganda, and yet that is, I mean, obviously this is like the most propaganda you could ever imagine, right?
Yeah,
I mean, it's nuts, right? And so they're gonna do that. Then they have a list. So here's like, this is definitely kind of, you can tell this is definitely proposal stuff, because it's like, well, these are possible people that we could recruit: Chris Pratt, John Voight, Tim Tebow.
Chris Pratt. Oh my God, I love Parks and Rec. I can never watch it again now.
Well, this is just who they're trying to. I had a lot of people that were really upset about the Chris Pratt thing. I'm like, none of these people have said that they're going to do
but
this.
But the fact that they are on the list suggests they have some leanings in that direction. Maybe that's not true.
Right. I would be shocked at this late in the game if they could find any of these people to attach their names to what's going on in Gaza, because essentially that is what you're going to be doing. Yeah. You're going to be attaching your name to Gaza. And
I like how at the end they just have young female athletes. Like they have no women. The whole thing is like young female Christian athletes.
Right. Yeah. We all know they're talking about Riley Gaines there, but I don't think she's going to touch that one with a 10-foot pole. She has definitely stayed away. She's done a little bit of messaging, but not much. wisely.
Yeah.
So here's the messaging that they want to do. They want to do pro-Israel messaging. Talk about the importance of Israel. It's interesting to me because it says its biblical significance, its place in the Christian New Testament, which is very interesting because, like we said, the New Testament, according to these definitely end times folk, they got to drive all the Jews back to Israel, and then they got to convert most of them. But I think it's only like 2/3 of them are going to convert, and then the other 1/3 is just going to perish and go to hell or something like that. That's their thinking. So it's interesting to me that they included this part, because usually they stick to the to the Old Testament, which is where they stick with Genesis and stuff like that. The area for Greater Israel is defined in Numbers 33, and there's a couple other passages, but yeah, so I was surprised by that. But educational messages about the history of Jews in the region before and the creation of the state of Israel, yada, yada, yada. Christians in Israel in the birthplace of Jesus Christmas message, which again, very interesting, because we know that Christmas has actually been quote unquote canceled in Bethlehem for 2 years because of the constant harassment that Palestinian Christians have been under by the occupation forces in Jerusalem. But then the other part of the messaging is going to be anti-Palestinian state. Okay, Hamas is a Palestinian terrorist organization. Yet Palestinians elected Hamas. Yada yada yada. Never a state of Palestine. All the usual talking points that we've heard. Hamas and Palestinians have killed many of the American Christian aid workers distributing food in the region. I am not aware of that ever happening.
I think Israel has killed them.
Yeah.
But nice try.
Yeah. So. I was pretty shocked when I read that yesterday. So here it is. Okay, so I was wrong. It's not New Mexico, it was Nevada. So California, 219 churches. Nevada, 19. Arizona, 38. Colorado, 32, for a total of 303 churches that they're going to do. They have it densely populated areas. Their headquarters is based in Riverside, California. It says, so California, roughly 80 million, yada, yada, yada. Then, if it all goes well, they're going to go to Texas, which I find very interesting. Obviously, they kind of had the Bible Belt locked up. So Alabama, Mississippi, Arkansas, Missouri, up in there. I would be interested to see. I've talked to some people. I talked to a guy I know who is a political consultant in South Carolina. He said, you just don't understand. He said, these people are still so, it's just in them. You're not getting it out of them whatsoever. So if you want to read the whole filing, you can go to, and I'll show you guys how to do it real quick. You go here. This is the DOJ. You go to Active Foreign Principles. Click on the country. Scroll down to Israel. Okay, and then organize by date, most recent, and it's right here, right there. So boom, it's the very top one right now, today. If you went today, it says show faith by works. There was another one that came through on the 18th, and this is the Clock Tower X. Now this is a company that's owned by Brad Pascal. Do you know who Brad Pascal is, Janine?
I just heard of him. He's like a pro-Israel influencer, right?
No. Well, Brad Pascal was he was actually Trump's campaign manager in the first election, or 2016. He was in 2020 as well. Don't quote me. I think he beat his wife or something like that. I think he and his wife got in some kind of weird pool party fight. I believe I remember seeing her. She was in a bikini running down the street, and she was on a cop camera or something like that. And he's yelling. He's a really big guy. I don't know. A lot of domestic issues. But The thing that's notable about Brad Pascal is number one, Trump never cut ties with him, even though he did take him off of his 2020 campaign. He was still running the joint fundraising committee that Trump is behind. And he also had dealings with the America First Policy Institute, and that's very important, the AFPI, right? But Pascal is actually probably most notable because he was part of the team that brought Cambridge Analytica to Donald Trump in 2016. Now, for those who don't know, but everybody has probably heard of Cambridge Analytica, right? I'm sure you have.
Yeah.
But do you know anything about it? I read the book that was actually written by the guy who invented it, essentially.
I remember something about it from a long time ago, but I don't remember the details now.
It's fascinating because it got a lot of traction, and then it just kind of like went away really quickly. And it took me a time to realize that Democrats actually stopped making a big deal about it because they just said, "F it, if you can't beat them, join them." And they started using all of these same data. So Cambridge Analytica is sorry if I'm talking too fast. It's just that we have a lot and I'm trying to get it all in. But Cambridge Analytica is essentially Moneyball politics, right? So they identified areas where there were potentially misvotes in swing states, right? So in 2016, the Trump campaign did something that they had never done before, which had never been done before, which was they didn't actually try to win everybody's vote. They weren't trying to win over swing voters per se. They identified using Facebook data, using Instagram, Twitter, all of these things, all these data points. They identified people who were potential Trump voters, and then they specifically targeted them. Now, some people will say that, Cambridge wasn't that successful. There's a lot of debate about whether or not the Facebook campaign was really like that, like how many votes actually were swung by the Facebook targeted campaign. But I don't really think that there is a argument to be made now that we're 2 elections out of 2016 that everybody is using some kind of AI targeting, right? Because this was like AI before AI, but some kind of like personality driven targeted advertisement specifically for, it's all curtailed. It's just a boutique political advertisement made just for you, using your likes, your visits, your things that you like, things that you interact with. They have bought all of that data and they know exactly what you want. And so he's the guy, right? And so he's bringing this now, and they're trying to do this again. They're going to restart and do this really targeted advertising, right? They're not going to try to win over the people that are already lost hardcore. If you're wearing a freaking kitty shirt with a keffiyeh on it, no one is going to target you with this advertisement, right? They're not.
Can I ask you, how do you see this as different from what was going on before? Like, I would say, so from my perspective, I don't know that much about Christianity. I've been to church like 5 times in my life for weddings. Like, from my perspective, the Christian Zionists were always kind of promoting this kind of ideology. What's different about this?
Oh, well, no, I would say definitely Christian Zionists were not always promoting this ideology, definitely not this hardcore. So that actually brings us into this new thing that is happening right now. And I have been kind of studying it.
So wait. Let me stop you. Just for, like, I really don't understand, and some other people might not either. What's different about this from your perspective?
Well, what we've seen since about 2015 is this kind of blow up of what is called NAR theology, okay? And this is New Apostolic Revelation, okay? These are end time theologies. It comes out of, but specifically, this is coming out of a book by Bill Johnson and Lance Wallnau. Johnson's dead. Wallnau's the leader of this movement now. It's kind of weird too,
Oh,
because
that's the video I watched. Yeah.
right. Yes. So Lance, I sent Janine a video later, and I'm going to share this too. I know Lance Wallnau is going to block me as soon as I share his video, or he's going to delete the video, and I know he would probably hit me with like some kind of trademark
Copyright infringement.
Yeah. Right. If I uploaded it myself, it's why I've been like, but so what this is that I'm actually made a little thing for you guys to understand. Now, I know people are going to be screaming at me because apparently, well, I want to say this is the problem with lefties, all right, is that lefties are so daggone hyperbolic all the time, right, about the right and being like, that when they actually go to set off the alarm on something, everybody ignores them, right? Like everybody's a Nazi, everybody's Hitler, everything is all the time.
Yeah.
And so I will give them credit that the left has been kind of sounding the alarm on this really radical ideology in evangelical circles. They've been sounding it for a little while now. I would say about 3 or 4 years, right after January 6th, basically. But of course, they mixed it in with January 6th. Of course, they were all like, I actually knew people that were nobody was like trying to overturn democracy. They thought that democracy had been subverted, right? And so let me show you. So I actually shared it, and I will share his video. I'll drop it in the comments. But so this man, Lance Wallnau, and Bill Johnson in 2000, and I believe it was 13, they published a book, and they came up with this idea, and this idea is called the 7 Mountain Mandate. Now, this is all rooted in like Pentecostal theology, right? So it's a very charismatic theology. It's very, but it's all end times dominionism stuff, right? And those are long conversations, but I'm trying to make this quick and digestible for people. So this is the thing that is influencing, number one, it is influencing Donald Trump more than anything. It is driving him. Number two, this is what Charlie Kirk was wrapped up in as well, 7 Mountain Mandate.
So wait. Or do you want to get to it later? But we should talk about how Trump is wrapped up in it, because I think most people don't think he's a real Christian. So that might be a confusing idea.
There are a lot of Christians who probably would say this is not real Christianity. So this is I don't know. But like I think a lot of people perceive his religiosity as kind of fake and just like an attempt to win Republican votes. So I don't hold that against him personally. A lot of people aren't super religious, and
I'm not. I meant when you say he's wrapped up in this Pentecostal theology, I think we might want to explain to people what you mean by that.
Well, so this theology, this 7 Mountain Mandate, and this is written again, like I said, Bill Johnson and Wallnau. I believe I'm saying that right. Hold on, I'm gonna give you guys the book that they wrote on it. And it comes from a bunch of things, but it's kind of like a conglomeration of a lot of different end times theologies that were pulled together. But in 2013, Wallnau and Bill Johnson wrote this book called Invading Babylon, the 7 Mountain Mandate. And that is 2013. And that's very important too, because this is actually where you see the rise of a lot of things. You start to see the rise of, number one, we have Israel 365 is formed, I believe, in 2013. We have the Philos Project, which was started in 2011 after ISIS came on board, and the Philos Project purports to advocate for Christians in the Middle East, but it's really just a Zionist project. It's funded by Paul Singer. You also have the Christians United for Israel. This is the first time in 2013 when they actually launch a campus tour, right? So it's registered by Paul Hagee or Pastor Hagee in 2006, but 2013 is when they start to really go onto the campuses and stuff. So this is a very tight area where all of this stuff kind of really starts to take off. And this Seven Mountain Mandate commands Christians that they must take by force and dominate these areas of society. So education, entertainment, family, business, religion, media, and government.
So everything.
Yes, everything. Okay.
I was gonna say bars and restaurants aren't there, but I guess that's captured by entertainment and business. So never mind.
Yes, yes. It's all of it, right? And I used to be super dismissive when people would get really like hyperbolic about this stuff, until I really started. Yes, and somebody just said in the chat, New Apostolic Reformation is very dangerous. It is very dangerous theology. I was talking to a family member of mine. I was explaining to them, they were, and this is somebody who goes to church, very involved in church. They were floored as I was telling them these things. All of it was heresy to them. They were, I mean, and so I was like, okay, I knew that this is wrong. And so one thing that really stuck out to me was the adherents to this ideology very often will call themselves apostles. So anytime I see somebody calling themselves an apostle, I'm immediately like struck. I don't like that. It's heresy. Like you cannot be an apostle. No. It's you are purporting to speak for the Lord. Or that the Lord has bestowed upon you the ability to speak for him. And this is also very rooted in like Pentecostal theology. You probably never been to a Pentecostal church, have you?
I haven't. I've heard you've told me a little bit about it. I've heard like the speaking in tongues stuff, and it's weird.
It's intense. It's really, really, I'm trying not to insult people. I know some people, one of the best people I've ever met in my entire life was a Pentecostal. And I still adore her, but I'm not gonna lie, a lot of the stuff that goes on there is really crazy. And if you grew up in a Methodist church like me, that is very conservative and very like doesn't do anything like that whatsoever, it is shocking. It is like, holy crap, what the hell is going on? But they speak in tongues, which of course is, it's supposed to be the spirits of the Lord speaking through you. They believe that they can like perform miracles and things like that, putting their hands, they draw the demons out of people. Lots of crazy stuff goes on, right? They do exorcisms. Actually, I don't think they call them exorcisms though, but they definitely get down. They believe in like witches, demons.
But let's connect this a little bit to what you were saying about Trump.
Okay.
Like, so they basically have an office in the White House, right?
No, they do have an office in the White House. Okay.
Yeah, so not basically, they do.
No, it 100% is. So what happened is that Lance Wallnau, who is, again, like I said, the founder of Seven Mountain Mandate, he was a very early Trump supporter, right? Now, you need to understand, all of the people who adhere to this are fanatical Christian Zionists. Absolutely hardcore. Greg Locke, who I just think is like demon. I think he is the devil. He's a hardcore Seven Mountain Mandate guy. Wallnau, Rob McCoy, who is quote unquote Charlie Kirk's pastor, he is actually one of Wallnau's like students, right? So Charlie Kirk gets wrapped up in this stuff in about 2019. He gets wrapped up. He gets introduced to the to Jerry Falwell at the Liberty University when Jerry Falwell was there. And they actually come up with something called the Falkirk Center, which is, a play on their names, Falwell, the first part, Falkirk. And this is actually where the precursor to TPUSA is launched. It's the Falkirk Center at Liberty University. Well, roll into 2020, there's a lot of isolation that's happening and whatnot. That's actually the Falkirk Center. When Charlie opened that up, that's how he met his wife. She was an intern. She was an intern prospect. He had to interview her. But go into 2020, there's a lot of isolation going on. And that's when I think Charlie Kirk gets kind of isolated with these people. So for people who know TPUSA early on, they were actually libertarian, believe it or not. You wouldn't know that now, but they were. And by 2020, with the way that they shut down the churches and whatnot, Charlie Kirk, he comes out, and at one point he actually says, he's defending Rob McCoy, who has this church and he refuses to shut down, and the state of California is like coming after him and whatnot. And he says basically that, Rob McCoy is my pastor, and if the FBI wants to come after him, they'll have to go through me, kind of something like that, to that extent, right? And then what happens is that in August of 2020, it comes out that Jerry Falwell Jr. is a cuckold, like a real one. And he likes to watch his wife have sex with the Cabana Boy. So the Liberty University is, of course, like just thrown into, it was a big deal. Like I was talking to.
I remember this.
Yeah, it was a really, really big deal. And they end up canceling the contract that Charlie and Jerry Falwell have when they kick Charlie out, or they kick Falwell out. So what happens? Rob McCoy comes in, and they decide they're going to take basically what they have started building at Liberty University, and they're going to turn it into TPUSA Faith. And this is where there's this kind of really hard right turn towards, and this is where these Pentecostal 7 Mountain Mandate people get their freaking teeth in, right? Yeah. Now, they've already had a pretty strong foothold at this time. And I'm going to talk about that. And the next time we have a podcast, we're going to talk about this guy that I found, but I really want to nail down every detail that I have on where this one guy that I've been looking into came from, and where I actually think most of this is coming out of. But just know this is where they really get a hold, is in 2020, when all of this fallout happens, right? Also, it's all of the kind of really super religious people who Lance Wallnau was the first person who ever said that Donald Trump was ordained by God to be president. So he's the one. I don't know if any of you guys have ever seen this push that came where it's super religious, right? It was like, Jesus is my savior, Trump is my president. And they were really putting Trump right next to Jesus, which to me was extremely uncomfortable. Yeah. I was very, very uncomfortable with that at all times. Again, I see Donald Trump as a politician. That's about it, right? I don't see him as a savior figure in any way, shape, or form. But when Trump is kicked out of office, obviously when he has to leave office after January 6th, he too is also very isolated. And who comes in? It's these hyper religious folk, right? And they did build him up, and they were there for him when everyone else had abandoned him. And I can't fault him or them for that, right? He was treated really badly, I think. And I do think it was very unfair, a lot of the things that happened to him. So that's what happens. Falwell comes in, or excuse me, TPUSA kind of takes off, and they build this structure. And then, of course, what happens is it actually takes off, and it gets bigger and bigger. And as he's coming up, and he is going to run again in 2024, their network really, really takes off. And who is at the head of this is Charlie Kirk, right? He is credited. Definitely. A lot of people credit him for Trump's reelection. I don't know if I would give him all the credit, but he did play a big part. And he was very important. And I do think that you can record, I believe it's like a 7-point swing in the under 30s. And most people credit that to Charlie Kirk. And so he's powerful at this point, right? So when Trump comes in and he does his new, they have like an office of like the faith counselor and whatnot. Who gets the appointment? An adherent to Seven Mountain Mandate, which is Paula White Kane, I believe it is. I could be saying that wrong. Oh, Paula Kane White. No, it's White Kane. Hold on. So she is, I know, I keep going back and forth. Sorry, let's see. Now this woman quite literally has a office right in the West Wing, okay? And she is an adherent to the Seven Mountain Mandate theology. And that's what it is. New Apostolic Revelation theology. This is what she believes in. These people, this is what they believe in, right? So now we have one of these people in the White House. Flash forward, war is still raging, and these people, they 100% support Israel in anything they do. They love Bibi Netanyahu. They have routine meetings with Bibi Netanyahu. That's what I found. I could not believe it when I saw some of these people. They are getting to meet him on the regular. They have the Israeli ambassador to the U.S. on speed dial. They can contact them at any time. They are actually giving, one of these pastors is actually giving speeches at the UN. Israel is ceding their time to them, which is pretty nuts when you think about it, right? Thank you. He said Ian sent you. So yeah, we're talking about the new apostolic revelation. So it gets a little weird when you start looking into it, but it's all, what you need to know is that it's all end times theology, right? And all of these people are rooted in the idea that there are things we have to do. Christians have to dominate all of these areas of society, and then we got to get all the Jews back to Israel.
And they have a lot of influence on Trump. That's kind of the other takeaway.
Right, and the Jews got to take all of the land that God gave them. Okay, right. So it's not just that we got to get them back to, I guess Israel proper, and then the couple places.
But no, they have to have all of Judea and Samaria.
Correct. And I would be interested actually to know if they subscribe to Greater Israel. I would not be surprised if they did.
Oh, I'm sure. It would make sense. Doubt. Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, a woman who believes this, truly believes that that Jesus cannot come back until the Jews have all of this area. She has an office in the West Wing. Okay.
Oh my God. When you say that, it's so nuts.
It's concerning, right? It's very, very concerning.
To say that's a bit of an understatement.
Yeah. And, I don't want to be like because the thing is that freaking Biden had nothing but a bunch of people who literally, they were in fact Jewish, who just said, well, God gave us that land as well. It's not like it's, but the thing is that these are, I feel like, number one, they're charismatics. So they're very good at selling this stuff. If you watch some of their, especially if you're not used to it. I know I sent Janine a video earlier and she was like, I can't believe I even made it through that video. But I've actually watched a ton of this painful. Yeah, I've watched a ton of this guy's stuff when it wasn't actually even on what that was, which was the split in MAGA. He did a piece on that, but he's very good. I can see it. It's appealing to me, a lot of the stuff. So, and that's what these pastors are known for. They're known for being very charismatic, and they're smooth talkers. They can sell you on basically anything, right? And these are
it's also yeah, it's concerning to think that these people have Trump's ear and are like driving White House policy. So I've not been celebrating this sort of impending ceasefire, because I'm just like, whatever, it's going to be like last time. And they've just been bombarding Gaza, and they've killed Dave DeCamp has done an excellent job keeping track. Like, I think they've killed like 100 people in the last 24 hours. So this is not, anything to celebrate.
Yeah, as I posted earlier, and I haven't posted since about, not trying to blackpill people, but I need people to understand that there will be no ceasefire until Israel is absolutely forced to, whether it be by outside intervention or the US cutting it off, because they do not have a plan for the day after. And people need to really understand that. They crossed a line in December of 2023 that they cannot uncross. And they have no plan for that,
Yeah.
because the second that international media is allowed in to see, we've just been seeing what, God bless them, the brave, just unbelievably heroic journalists in Gaza have shown us. And so many, 245 of them have lost their lives for
I mean,
showing
they're
this to
almost all
us.
dead. Yeah.
Yes. And this is why you've seen just a total almost like drop off of media coming out of Gaza. Uh, and it's so much worse than anything that
Yeah.
any of us can imagine. And there's no way to spin it. So this will not stop. Bibi will absolutely derail anything until they have a plan in which they can ship every single one of the Palestinians that's there right now to other countries. They're going to split them up. Okay. And then they can quietly clear that, all of the rubble and all of the dead bodies out. I would probably estimate, at least if I'm being extremely conservative, I would put the death toll at 400,000 people. I
There
think
was a
most
new
people
report that put it at
that
like
says,
600,000. I
yeah,
forgot where it was from. I mean, I don't know. I mean, they keep on saying that 60,000 number. I'm like, you were saying
no,
60,000 a year ago. Well, they keep on bombing and starving people. So like, that's definitely
right.
not true. And that doesn't make any sense. But
There's no way that you can drop 100,000 tons of bombs in the first 4 months, 5 months, which is what they did, and only kill 30,000 people. Okay. It's just not, that's not how it works. Mathematically, it's impossible. And of course, we're not even, we're talking about direct violence deaths. We're not even talking about deaths from, malnutrition, lack of medical care. Um, I watched a video today that had me just sobbing, of this woman who, just this blank look on her face because she had just found out that her husband was dead, and he had just gone out to get food. And I could just see it. Like, I can't imagine having made it this long with my husband,
yeah,
and then he's just taken. And it's like, what are you going to do? Like, it would be so
yeah.
unbelievably scary. And I was just crying, and she wasn't. And I'm like sitting here watching this video, and she wasn't crying, and I am, because I know. But she was so devastated. And you could
It's
just
so
tell.
I have this friend. We've had him on the show at least once, Khalil Sayed, and I had dinner
Hmm.
with him the other day, and he was telling me he got his father and sister were killed in Gaza. His sister was only 20 when she died, and in an airstrike, and he was able to get his mother and a couple of his siblings out into Egypt because at that time the border was open, and he just had to pay $5,000 basically to bribe the Egyptians to
Hmm.
let them in. But then they closed it and they didn't let it anymore before he could get his sister and her 3 children out. So his sister is in Gaza City, like now. And we were sitting at dinner on Friday night, and I was just like, "How are you so calm? Like your sister's in Gaza City right now while they're bombing it with your 3 nieces and nephews." And he was just like, "I have no other choice. Like this has been
Yeah.
going. Like what am I gonna do? Like I can't freak out for 2 years."
Yeah.
But like so I saw the
Oh,
same
I know.
phenomenon. But also, let me ask you, with respect to this new, what we've learned from these new FARA filings and this effort to try to brainwash Christians into supporting Israel despite what they're doing, do you think it's going to be successful?
No, I don't think it's going to be successful. I think that the problem for Israel obviously is that we've had 2 years. They have a very finite number of talking points that they can push,
Yeah,
and they've already been debunked. Number one,
yeah.
everybody's already heard them. It's the same crap over and over and over again. We had to bomb that hospital because there was a tunnel there, because there was a
Hamas,
Hamas.
Hamas, Hamas.
Right, everybody is Hamas all the time. And so people are, they're done. Number two, Americans are actually just really done with the subservience and just really gross kind of servitude that we've seen from American elected politicians.
Yeah.
We're sick of this. It's disgusting. It's not just disgusting, but it is also it's embarrassing, right?
Yeah.
Like to see our representatives going kissing a wall, just kissing ass of these foreign leaders who do not show us the same reverence, right? Now they'll come out and blah, blah, they'll say a couple things, but it's one thing to say, yeah, we love America and whatnot, but it's you can just tell, obviously, it's not reciprocated, right? They hate us. They don't hate us. I don't think they actually hate us. I just think that they don't have any respect for us. And they just see us as a thing to be used and then discarded when we are no longer of use to them.
Sorry. I'm just responding to this person.
I know. Somebody said, this is my real channel. What are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is the only channel I have anyways. And so, yeah, it's just previously prohibited. And thank you for coming here from Ian.
Yes. Thank you.
We love you, Ian. Love you. But so tomorrow I'm going to have a thing on the 7 Mountain Mandate. I usually don't like to announce my threads because I will get spammed and I will get reported, and it's really nuts the way that they're able to shut things down. But I do want to talk about this a lot because, we talk about a lot of the kind of like Jewish power, Zionist Jewish power in the US. And I do believe that I have definitely ignored this kind of sleeping giant that I've now kind of stumbled upon. And I used to poo-poo the idea. And I still don't think that these people are as powerful. Well, the thing is once you look into it, you realize that they are hand in glove with Jewish Zionists as well, right?
Yeah.
So every time you find one of these organizations, these Christian Zionist organizations, is 100% paired with a Jewish organization of the same kind of like mind, radical and really hyper-religious Jews, hyper-religious Christians, kind of teaming up and using each other together.
Although weirdly, a lot of Jewish Zionists aren't that religious. It's more of a.
Well, I'm talking about the far right ones, and these are like definitely the settlers in the.
Sure, yeah.
They're extremely religious, and that's what I'm talking about here.
Oh
they definitely feed off of each other, and
Yeah, even though they both want each other dead, really, in the philosophy.
Even though in the end times, here's something I want to share with you guys real quick that I thought was so interesting. Real quick, just a second. Is that because this actually became a thing. If you go to so after in post. Hold on just a second. Let me find the thing in the hold on. So let me show you guys real quick. Let me share this. So the number one probably religious Jewish Zionist organization is Israel Action 365. So this is definitely from a Jewish perspective, and it's ran by Jews. As you can see, it's ran by 2 rabbis. And then on the advisory board, though, let me show you Michelle Bachmann.
Oh my God, I know Frank Gaffney.
Frank Gaffney.
Oh my God.
Frank Gaffney is insane. Okay.
Yeah, I worked with him during COVID. Like I was at events that he was at. I did not know.
Well, I'm sorry that you know him, but I'm, and this is me speaking for me, but
oh my God,
Frank Gaffney is an absolute psychopath. Okay.
Yeah.
I have a whole thing on him, but here's another one. So this guy right here, I'm going to have something coming on this one tomorrow. Pastor Mario Bramnick. Okay. Scroll down a little bit though, and we are going to see, hold on, where's my boy at? That's weird. He's should be on here. I'm going to have to pull it up. Mario Bramnick is another one, definitely. He's The president of the Latino Coalition for Israel. This guy, we don't have time to get into him. He is one of, I don't want to say one of the most powerful people in the US, but he is definitely one of the most influential leaders on the religious right. And you've never heard of him, I assure you. Luke Moon is another one. Luke Moon runs the Philos Project, and the Philos Project is a organization that was started by Paul Singer under the pretenses that they're
runs the Manhattan Institute, right?
Correct. He's the donor to the Manhattan Institute.
Donor, yeah.
And he's the donor to the Philos Project as well. But Luke Moon is this guy. He's from Seattle, but he's a Southern Baptist preacher and whatnot. But Michelle Bachmann, if you guys know who she is, obviously. But
didn't she run for president, or am I nuts?
Well, she was a congresswoman for a really long time.
Okay, she was a congresswoman.
And so I think they might have actually changed it just here very recently. Hold on, because good thing that y'all know me.
She did run for president in 2012.
She did, okay.
So I'm not insane, yeah.
So hold on, because I had to screenshot it, because I always have to screenshot everything because things change so quickly. And I was very surprised by this the other day when I saw it. There we go. No, that's not it. Oh, they've changed their whole thing just in the last couple days. Interesting. All right, so let me pull this up really quick for you guys. So you can see this has actually changed a lot just in a couple days, and you'll see, you guys just saw what it did look like. So when I pull, sorry. Boom. So this is what it was saying, and is that Israel 365, and maybe, okay, it's not on the action page, so that's why I was looking wrong, is an Orthodox Jewish institution that believes that Jews and Christians must respect one another. We unequivocally reject any Christian attempts to proselytize Jews and will not associate with any Christian institution that proselytizes Jews. So that was very interesting to me when I saw it, because it's kind of a Christian thing that you're supposed to preach the message of the Lord. It's supposed to bring people to Christ, right?
Yeah.
And so anyone that is partnering with these people, any Christian that is partnering has no doubt signed a contract promising that they're actually never going to proselytize to Jews. They're never going to try to convert to Jews. That's very interesting to me, because the whole idea behind Christian Zionism is you got to get all the Jews back, and then you got to make them love Jesus and accept Jesus, and 2/3 of them are going to. So how are you going to do that if you've signed a contract promising that you're not going to do that, right?
It makes me think none of these people believe anything that they're claiming to believe. I mean, I also think Jesus was like not down with killing babies, but what do I know?
Jesus would not have been down with any of this stuff, and Jesus definitely does not approve of any of it. But when I saw that the other day, I was like, well, how are these people getting away with this, right?
Yeah.
How like, just from a theological standpoint, how could you possibly partner, sign a contract, which is what they're having to do, and agree to not fulfill your duty as a Christian, right?
Well, as we both read today, the Zionist propaganda has been going on for a long time. So that's how it works. It's Mel sent me an article by James Aborzek, who founded the organization I work at, the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee, from 1978. And it could have been written today, almost. Like, he talks about how Israel has won the propaganda war, and everything is presented through Israel's lens. Just really fascinating. It was published in Penthouse magazine in 1978. My husband kept asking why Penthouse. I was like, because probably no one else would publish it,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
The New York Times or
It's funny, you go back and you search through a lot of these CIA records and whatnot. There was some really good stuff being printed only in Penthouse, and there's a Hustler magazine that
and
actually has
Playboy,
some good
right?
stuff. Playboy printed a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
All of these, and sometimes you would have like spies talking to each other in these like nudie magazines. They're like printing like monthly like transactions. I think there was one that's kind of famous. I can't remember the name of it right now, but they were going back and forth essentially writing these anonymous op-eds to each other in this nudie magazine. So
Wow.
yeah, if you guys want to read that, I strongly suggest it, because it really goes to show that op-ed that was written by the senator who did you know that that's who had started your
Yeah, no, I knew that. But yeah, no,
Yeah.
it was really fascinating to read it, just because I'm like, this literally could have been written today. And I actually sent it to my dad, who, for those who don't know, is Palestinian, and immigrated here in the late 1970s. And he was like, I read this in 1978. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he was so.
You were
and
like,
it was
Dad,
just,
why were you looking at Penthouse in 1970?
I didn't ask. But he said, you know, he was very, very brave. Nobody else would say this back then, but now there are lots of people saying it. So, but he was just, you know, he was blown away to see it again. And, you know, it really like sort of touched something with him. But.
I know. I have a very soft spot for Senator Fulbright, J.W. Fulbright out of Arkansas, and he left. He was the only. At the time I thought he was the only senator who ever spoke out against Israel. Turns out, is it? How do you say it again? Aborzek?
I think it's Aborzek. Yeah.
Aborzek was the last one that I've seen.
Yeah.
I actually have a list though. If you guys want to go look at, I was scrolling. Hold on, let me find my stuff. I don't know, I got all these notes. Hold on, I can tell you because I actually came across a list from APAC. It was from like 2006 that this was written, basically like a hit list of Republicans that were a problem. And it was Pete McCloskey, Paul Finley, Chuck Percy. Yeah, so those three, they were members of Congress at some point up to, I believe this was like 2006 when the editorial that I read, but they had all been identified as serious problems by APAC. So I'll read it again. Paul McCloskey, Pete McCloskey, Paul Finley, and Chuck Percy. So
well, I don't know if you read that book, The Israel Lobby by Mersheimer and Waltz. It documents in a sort of very great detail, you know, how AIPAC and other Israel lobbyist groups have taken control of Congress. And you know, it's pretty well documented. They had a lot of sources, and a lot of Congress people behind closed doors will say they fucking hate Israel. Even the ones who are proclaiming the loudest, they just have to do it or they're going to lose their seats. So that's a very interesting read for anyone who's up for 500 pages.
Oh, I know. I have so many staffers who follow me and like who I DM with, and they all hate them. They all hate and even if they don't necessarily, they don't even hate Israel. They just hate the control, right?
Yeah.
And I think that was something that we started to see from Charlie Kirk, right? Was that it did become a, hey, I'm actually an American. You know, I'm going to put America first. And that became a real problem, right? And it wasn't just a problem for Israel. What I have seen over the last 2 weeks as I've been digging into this is that there were actually some really hardcore religious fundamentalists, this cult of Christian Zionism that was also surrounding him at all times. And my heart just kind of hurts for him that he had these people basically just daggers out everywhere in the days before his death. you know. And then what do you know? Just some loony old queer mercenary out of nowhere came out of his mom's basement or whatnot and was like, I'm gonna take out Charlie Kirk, right? Isn't that really freaking convenient?
And then confessed in perfect detail to his lover via text message. Anyway, shall we wrap it up for tonight?
Yes, we should. Also, I got a new sweatshirt, and I don't get paid for them. I love it. And if you guys want to, if you can, if you want to go support, if you want to support Palestinians, obviously in Gaza, and you don't know what to do, I definitely suggest the Samir Project. It's on. You can find their page on X. We can include it in the chat. Also, if you just want to get some cool swag, if you just like kitties like me, then you can go to wearthepeace.com. Every sweatshirt that you buy, which I don't think are, I mean, I love their sweatshirts. They're actually really good sweatshirts. And everyone that you buy, $10 will be donated to a cause in Gaza. Like for this one, they actually have a charity in Gaza that's trying to feed the animals, the orphaned animals in Gaza, which is something we don't think about. Obviously, there's so many humans suffering. It's just so horrific what's happening, but they have been able to make, and I love it because you can go on the Wear the Peace website. You can find their, they post every single donation that they made. So like the latest one, they ended up giving $14,000 to this charity that does help to feed the animals and take care of them as best they can. And of course, it's just awful what's happening. But also, they have so many cool. I've got like 5 sweatshirts now that I bought from them. It's crazy. So, anyways,
and if you enjoyed this tonight, please, like, subscribe, etc. That helps us out. We stream here on Twitter and on YouTube and Rumble, right?
Right. Yes. Well, no, we don't stream on Rumble. We don't, but we will upload it to Rumble.
We post on Rumble.
Yep. And then when we get back together, we're gonna have some stuff on. We're gonna do, I think, another full probably series on this Christian Zionism, the new apostolic revelation. Movement, Dominionism, 7 Mountain Mandate. I'm going to have some posts on that, but we're also going to talk about these people that are really influencing Trump, and they were influencing Charlie Kirk as well. And I think that the hold that they had, that he was trying to break around him, I do think that plays into his death. Definitely. I don't know what part yet, but I don't trust any of these people. So... we're not going to let this go. I'm not going to let this go. I'm crazy. Okay. Y'all don't even know. And so.
Well, that is in your handle. So.
It is. You get a warning right off the bat.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, guys.